It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Well,
excellent.
Except with my PLL pick'ems. We'll get to that much.
We'll get to that.
You swung for the fences.
you swung for, yeah, absolutely. You swung for glory, and you hit a double play is what you did. For all you Phillies fans out there. Oh, man, we have a lot of news and a lot of other things that have just been happening more or less before we came on the air. And so we're going to get to all of that in a few minutes. But just as a reminder to everybody that all the shows are streamed across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. As you see from our list here, we have many shows for everybody and every taste. So please give a look. Please give a listen. All these shows are amazing. I love Trending in the AM. I think Phil does a great job with that. And even a couple of the guys who have sat in when Phil hasn't been available. Just amazing. And, of course, my favorite of all is Steel Steps. Friday nights at 10. So you want to check that show out as well. Also, if you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and so much more. As well, you can catch it on the YouTube page of EOP Sports at EOP Sports. Or if you're looking for our show in particular, any of our stuff, you can go over to our YouTube page at All Lacrosse All The Time. And please give us a follow. Retro games, interviews, library shows, interviews, fights, everything you can think of under the sun is there, and more coming all the time. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. And while you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. Well, again, as in the old days, just a reminder that to get the ball rolling. I love that. Sorry, guys. Just a couple little tidbits of news. Remember that the Crossing Barriers, their camps are still coming up in August 6th to 9th and 26th to 30th. Please, if you need any information or if you want to get in with their regular programming or where they are and if it's anywhere near you, email Scott at lacrossingbarriers.org and he will have all the information for you and anything else you need. Remember, these camps are really great. All abilities and all possibilities day camps designed to allow anyone who chooses to learn, laugh, and play. The camps are designed to guide everyone who comes to participate in the way they need. Definitely well needed and well done. And Scott and his group are fantastic. We've had him on the show many times on both of my shows, and just an absolute fantastic thing. And it's just growing. And they've had all kinds of extra funding, so they're going to be moving to all kinds of different locations as well, which is just spectacular. So looking forward to seeing a lot more programming coming out of them. Now, we've had a number of people ask about the, we've seen the Canadian men's team for the box tournament in Utica come the World Tournament in September. The women of Canada have now announced their lineup, and here it is. What a lineup this is. This is equally as spectacular as the men's. And this is going to be something to watch because any one of those alternates would be a star on anybody else's team. That's how, deep this team is. So, just looking at a few of Erica Evans, Dana Doby, Paige Murphy, Ashley Bull. It's incredible how many people are just, top tier quality. So it's going to be something to behold. Both men's and women's are going to be something. So when the schedule comes out on where to watch and how to watch, we'll be sure to let you know because it is going to be something you don't want to miss. Yeah, you might be calling it sick because you're bleary-eyed from watching so much of it. Anyways, the Olympics just started this week. Well, actually, Friday was their first one in that rain-soaked extravaganza. Now, just a reminder to everybody, this time 4 years from now, that's right, over in the LA Coliseum, Lacrosse will be there, and can't wait. Can't wait. It's kind of like the countdown is on now, because now we're coming into that time. So now every move that's being made, decisions that are being made, little tweaks and changes and things like that, camera angles getting right, everything is designed for the big show. So this is exciting times. This is
And
Yeah.
let's not forget the most important move that needs to be done, which is including the Haudenosaunee.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
I know that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, a lot of inner workings going on. It's funny because normally you need to have 3 events in order to be recognized by the IOC. So I don't know what's going on there or how it's going on. I'm certain that there's 3 events that they can qualify for.
You would
Certain
think,
of
yeah.
But anyways, um, that's for higher minds than me. I'm just talking head.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't see it not happening, but
Yeah.
dumber
And like you
things have
said,
happened.
before, Gary, the first step is getting eyes on the game. That's
That's it.
step one. Yeah.
That's it. All the political stuff, let them handle that. Let's just concentrate on giving the best product that we possibly can, and then worry about who's in it after that. Let's get that thing solved first, and all the tweaks and all the turns. These PLL tournaments that are in February, which are designed as sixes to test different ideas and different thoughts, is they're really invaluable for different things and different tweaks. And as you see, these games are getting tighter. So the little changes here and there that you may not notice right on the surface are starting to take effect. So away we go with that. Now, a couple of bombshells this week. We'll start out with Christian Del Bianco. He sent a tweet out that, well, let me read it. Dear Roughneck fans, thank you so much. I came as a teenager to play in Calgary, and I was overwhelmed by the support you fans gave this team. My appreciation for you only grew from there. To run out onto the floor with the fireworks blasting, to hear you chanting has been incredible. I hope in some way I returned the excitement. To win a championship was amazing, and being able to raise thousands of dollars off the floor for local kids with kid sport so they get a chance to play this incredible game was the best. Ascent Consulting and Mr. Alston, I can't thank you enough for all your generosity over the years. No longer a teenager, but as someone who runs his own business, is about to be married, I let the organization know shortly after the season that my life off the floor is my priority, and when my contract ran out, I would not be re-signing in Calgary. Roughnecks have been nothing but first class. I want to thank GM Mike Board and the organization for giving me the chance to play. My teammates have become my best friends. That's what lacrosse does and why it's so great. Any success I had in Calgary was because of them. My memories will be of you, the fans, all whom I have met and had such great interactions with. For every save I made, I had twice as many smiles. Who knows what the future holds with my lacrosse career, but the past as a Calgary Roughneck has been incredible. A bombshell, Christian Del Bianco will not be back with the Calgary Roughnecks, which of course leads to more speculation. Where will he land up? Will he end up in San Diego? He is a Coquitlam boy. Will he end up with Vancouver? If it's Vancouver, Aaron Bold is a free agent. What are they going to do with Aiden Walsh? What are they going to do with him?
You know,
Yeah. Now, do we trade Aiden Walsh? Because if it's CDP going there, Del Bianco going in there, then we have an issue, don't we? And all the other little things. Do we make it a big package to try and clear out a bunch because there's a bunch of guys coming in? Don't forget that Vancouver also just re-signed Connor O'Toole as the future. Well, they already have the future, and he's just starting to start. So it's an interesting little scenario in here, and first of all, where is Del Bianco's business? Is it back in BC? Is it in Toronto? Is it in the business?
I have to.
It's in
Yeah,
BC.
I would think
I would
it's in
have to think
BC.
it is.
Yeah, being a BC boy, I would think it is
Yeah.
there. But that would be the first step of speculation to find where is life off the floor. Now granted, he spends the summers back usually doing WLA stuff this year, but it's anybody's guess. But that just adds to more interest, doesn't it? Sometimes the off season is more interesting than the on season. This is starting to become that way, because the next news is just going to knock everybody on their keisters. That being said, a tweet from Adam Levi this morning, and that was hearing the opening of free agency will be delayed out of respect to the sensitivity of this adjustment. I'll leave it to the parties involved with this process to provide further context on this situation. Now, of course, speculation has gone rampant in the span of about 12 hours. Literally, we just saw tweets from Panther City season ticket holders that they can't get a hold of anybody from a couple of days ago about their season tickets. And obviously, this is when all the teams are getting everybody renewed, if not even earlier. And if they're not hearing anything, granted, there's not a lot of them, but still, isn't this the time when you would be going everywhere and handing passes out to rodeos and anywhere else to, hey, here's a voucher, come on, see our games, and try and get people in, not be closing up shop? So, of course, that leads to speculation of, is it Panther City that's folding, moving, going somewhere, changing ownership, doing something? Guys, what do you think? Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope not. Obviously, the attendance, is a problem, and they seem to have just not have been able to either market or just despite the marketing, just haven't been able to get people in the door to see the product, which is too bad because they were extremely competitive last year.
They have a good team. They have an even better team if they actually get them on the floor this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think they finished 9-9, but they could easily have been 12-6.
Mm-hmm.
So which would have put them top 3 in the league. So, if it is moving or relocating, the question obviously becomes where. If it's just changing ownership and they're trying again, I think that's great. Hopefully they can find a better way to market to people and get people to come. If it's just a move like Vegas, where hey, we're moving out of Dickies Arena and closer to Dallas or something like that, a different arena, which I that seems unrealistic if the ownership is the same, because they own the WNBA's Dallas Wings as well, and they play in the same arena. So that wouldn't make much sense unless they just thought they could get more people if they were in downtown Dallas or something as opposed to Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Food for thought also is that this would be suicide for the league for everything that they're trying to do, is to have a team fold, especially in their 5-year plan, because they've all the time trying to get away from the old NLL where you'd have dispersal drafts and teams just remember the old Boston Blazers, and 1 minute they're here, the next minute everybody's all over the place. So mind you, that won Rochester 3 championships because Matt Vince was part of eventually part of some of that moving, with Orlando and their dispersal. And so there's a bunch of little things that went on in the old years that I think that the NLL doesn't want to revisit, especially now. You have Olympics around the corner. You have TV contracts. You don't want to look like, look at them. They can't even keep their franchises. So, and they've already had one move because they didn't have anywhere for them to play. So, this is something that if remember, this is still speculation. We don't have anything concrete other than, trying to piece together A plus Z and have everything missing in between. So
Yeah.
obviously logic dictates that something of this sort is coming, because why else would you hold back free agency if there might be
Well,
a whole lot more free agents in there?
that's
And a couple of Panther City guys are part of the free agency group.
and sorry, that's just something I just wanted to bring up was just we're talking about relocating. I just going from that tweet, and again, if the speculation is true, I don't think the league even quite knows what's going on right now, whether it's new ownership or relocation. Because if they have to push back free agency, that means that they really don't know what's happening with those players at this moment. Whether they're going to the free market or they're just going to be going to just another market, and everything goes back to normal. It's an unfortunate situation. And then again, like, what do you do? Like, is it a dispersal draft? Does everyone become free agents? Who knows?
Phil, great to see you. Training in the AM. Great show. Great.
Yeah, I did take a quick look just just before the show when we were talking. It looks like they have 34 guys on their roster currently. But that includes 6 guys that are on the draft list. So I gotta think if this is going, if this ends up going the direction of a dispersal draft, maybe they take those guys on the draft list, just make them free agents, and then you got 28 guys left. You got 14 other teams in the league. That's 2 rounds of dispersal basically, and every team gets 2 players.
Right. That'll make a interesting little mix in there as well. Curious though, very curious that it's going this way. And remember, if it's dispersal, it goes last to first, as it has in past. The rich don't get richer; the poor actually get a chance at some of the. Well, finishing near the bottom was Colorado, right? Callum Crawford in Colorado. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe. A little reunion. They also had Will Malcolm initially, so.
Yep.
True, yeah.
So, but again, we're still very early on in this, and like I say, it was an odd tweet to come out, and just odd that they're pushing free agency back, of all things. Now, of course, the draft usually happens in the second week of September, usually just after Man Cup, and we'll see. We have no announcement so far about a draft yet, or where, what, who, any of that. But I don't see that being too affected, because again, other than if there's a city missing, you eliminate the city, right? If it's anything else, it doesn't really affect drafting. It does affect free agency though, because this brings a whole new what your need and who's coming and how many more are going to be on there. We have a list of all the unrestricted free agents, and well, we might as well put them up now because we're on the topic, and we'll start out here with righty forwards, and as you see, there's Keegan, there's Callum Crawford right on there, right, and Tyler Digby, 2 Panther City guys. But you look at the list of guys that are out here, and wow comes to mind. Now, granted, a lot of these guys are going to resign, but these are some heavyweight names. Keegan Bull, Josh Courier, Rob Hellier, Stephen Keogh again, Curtis Knight, Austin Shanks, Randy Stotts, Miles Thompson. I'm not sure about, because he was still battling with his knee when I saw him last year, and we'll see how that works. Unrestricted left forwards: Banesh, Doby, Greer, Jackson, Matthews, Riley O'Connor, Logan Schuss, Corey Small, Dan Taylor, Chris Wardle. Again, a heavyweight list. Moving into transition: Tyler Burton, Brandon Cleland, Joey Caputo, Zach Kerr, Mike Messenger, Jeremy Thompson. Going into defense, and again, you take a look at the names on here. It's like, wow. David Brock, Sheldon Burns, Liam Burns, Jeff Cornwall, Damon Edwards, Billy Ostrauser, John Lentz, Ian Lord, Luke Magnan, Mike Manley, Brody Merrill, Brett Mitzke, John Ranigan. You got to wonder, Brody Merrill, was that just that's just a one-off, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Eric Schul, Adrian Sorchetti, Leo Sturos, Josh Sullivan, Chad Tutton, Ryan White. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's might be a few guys on specifically on this list that
Aren't coming back.
Yeah.
aren't coming back at all. I mean, Brock has already seemingly announced that he's done. Merrill came out of retirement, so
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, on this one is still, Bolt, Carlson, Del Bianco. We talked about Nick Rose, also an interesting one at 36. Does he just go off into the merry sunset of Orangeville and be full-time GM there and run track for Jamie, or is he putting back another year? And again, that changes the drafting of what Toronto would be looking for, free agency wise and drafting. If Rose signs on and stays, and Holochuk is your backup, whereas if Holochuk is your starter, then the Rock might be looking at something else. So again, it changes the whole dynamic of what's going on. But now we don't even know when free agency hits.
yeah. And one more thing I want to add with the Del Bianco situation is,
Mhm.
I think it becomes a question of, hey, he said he would not be signing when his contract is up. His contract is up. Does that mean he's a free agent? Can Calgary trade his rights before then? When is his contract up?
I believe he's
And
free
how
agent
does
now.
that
I believe
Yeah,
that's
I was going to say what they're probably going to end up doing is franchising him, which you can't reject. Then you're going to have to trade his rights.
But
He
if he's a
probably is
free
not
agent
gonna-
already, you can't franchise. He's already gone. He's a free agent. He has no contract. You cannot franchise him then. And according to this list, he's an unrestricted free agent. So that takes care of that. I like the idea. I think it's great. Maybe he signs and they can do that and then trade him if he really wants to get back to Calgary. But as an unrestricted free agent, he can just off and go, and they'll get a compensatory pick, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, if he's unrestricted, I'm not quite following, because if he's an unrestricted free agent, like for instance, we'll get to it with Mike Messenger, he's an unrestricted free agent, but he's been franchised. So could they not franchise Del Bianco?
I would need to look it up. I have no idea on how that works. I would assume that once your contract's up, if you have no intention of staying, no. But
because I would think Calgary wouldn't want to give up for nothing, so I would think they would franchise him knowing that they can get something. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, yeah, I would.
I mean, he took the time to inform the team that, like, hey, look, like I need to be elsewhere or whatever. However, he informed the team.
Well, it's not like they didn't have time to figure it out, because he said he just soon after the season was over, he mentioned it. So, yeah, but it's again interesting that nothing has come out about anything until his tweet now, which again, too much hush hush, not enough info on what's going on. But we'll see. That's what makes it all interesting in here. But again, with free agents being pushed back now, and again, we haven't heard anything from the league about it. The league has been pretty silent about this, because I think they're trying to catch their breath on this one also.
Yeah, because even Adams' tweet was kind of a bit cryptic, because he couldn't really say much other than.
Yeah, he was going to let all the parties involved, so we don't know who's involved other than the NLL. And we just know the free agency, apparently, again, speculation, is being pushed back, which is supposed to be in about a week, less than a week.
Thursday.
Which is even crazier. And teams are working like that, because we have a couple of big signings to talk about. Aaron Woods, he signed on for a year with Halifax. Trevor Batiste, he's back with San Diego for 3 years. Long-term lockup. Travis Longboat, he's got a 2-year deal in Albany. And as we talked about with Saskatchewan, first off, Mike Messenger's been franchised. Mike Triolo has signed a 1-year deal. That's huge. That's the future there. You can't teach height
No.
and lacrosse smarts. I'm amazed it took this long for him to latch on somewhere. And I remember watching him in ALL and that, and he was a force. Bobby Kidd, third. He's signed on for a year. We had a couple of trades also, which were also things that kind of made you scratch your head a little bit. Yeah. Anthony Oakham is now part of the Rochester Nighthawks in exchange for a second-round pick in 2026. And the one that really, had a lot of people in Toronto scratching their heads. But again, there's a lot of youth coming in. And Brandon Slaght, I don't think played a game, or if he did, he played one last year. He had a lot of injuries. Exchanged for a third-round pick in 2024. Now, basically, a third-round pick means we're just cutting it. See you later. We're just giving you a place to play. Because what you're picking up in the third round, you can easily sign as a free agent after teams cut people in training camp. Very seldom are you finding that diamond in the rough in the third round. So,
yeah, especially I was going to say, especially this draft. I mean, we've
yeah, not overly deep.
we've been a little bit.
Round one and round two.
We've been a little bit
for round one. Some hoopla for round two. But if you're a 3, 4, 5, 6, good luck.
Yeah. I mean, we've been a bit spoiled since 2016, 2017, where every draft has been, had a high number of marquee players.
Yeah, this one still has some decent players, high marquee players, just not as many. And this is
just not it's not as deep. Yeah,
getting away from the COVID years too, where everything got blocked up and locked up and messed up and all put together, and kind of, it's like when you put your vinyl records on the radiator. Us old folks will know what I'm talking about. And, the captain wound up with Cher, and Tennille wound up with never mind. Melted together. Ask an older person; they'll explain it to you.
I just want to add real quick. I think Albany also signed Sam Firth and Jackson Reed to 2-year deals. So,
right, very good. So that keeps all of that moving on. We had a little bit more news on top of all this stuff here. This was scheduled though. The Ottawa Black Wolves had their jersey
Black Bears
showing. Yes, the Black.
My jersey.
Looking at Mike Door. They're something. They're black something. There they are. Pretty cool thing. It looks a lot like the Ottawa Senators, only with a bear instead of a Trojan warrior. But again, there's a lot of really cool stuff on this jersey, and I really think it's a catchy jersey. One of the catchier ones in the league. Now, as for anybody asking questions of why you have the men holding hands on the bottom of the shirt, that is an Indigenous thing. That looks a lot like the Iroquois flag, but the Indigenous thing there is about friendship, and that is the meaning of there. And of course, the Canadian maple leaf with the bear paw is another really catchy thing for the shoulder patch, and I think that's awesome. A number of people said that should have been the logo, and I couldn't argue with that. I think that would be a pretty cool logo too. Maybe something for a third jersey. How about that? At least for now. But the bear with the lacrosse stick in the O, again, in the theme of the Ottawa Senators hockey team, since they have a big part with this now. So already on the right foot. Apparently season tickets are moving. And of course the Senators have had a lot to do with that. And everything's been handled very, very well. Rich Lisk and his group is, of course, running everything still. And so you got top-notch management, a great venue, and a hungry crowd. And eager to prove that the Ottawa of old was just that, and that this team will be a success. The Rebel, I believe it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
I believe so, yep.
Way back. Alrighty. Just before we get into summer ball, just a reminder this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets.
Great moments don't just happen, they happen with you in the crowd. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less, play more with Sherry'sTickets.com and get the tickets you want. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10 and share an experience that will live on. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. For that next great moment, save 10% by using the promo code EOP10. Great moments start at Sherry'sTickets.com.
Absolutely. And you can use that anywhere, man. I've tried to use it over here and it works over here as well. And what you see on the screen is what you pay. And if you use the EOP code, you're going to get 10% off of that as well. So definitely worthwhile. Give it a look. A lot of great things on there for anything. Sports, concerts, doesn't matter. All right, we're going to start out west with some junior. Shawn, well, we're getting into the nitty-gritty now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I'll just go through some quick. I think when we left off, both semifinals were at 2 games apiece. So we have the Burnaby Coquitlam semifinal. In the end, Coquitlam swept the series 4-0 on the 21st. Coquitlam won 9-8, and then another shutout. Coquitlam 12-0 in Game 4. So they are heading to the final. And in the 2-3 semifinal with Port Coquitlam and Nanaimo, again, 21st, Port Coquitlam defeated Nanaimo 13-10. Then Port Coquitlam won again 11-6 in Game 4. So that was a 4-game sweep as well. So in the finals, we will have Port Coquitlam and Coquitlam in a 5-game series, which starts on the 31st. And over to the Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League in Alberta. Like I think I mentioned last week, we have the Miners and the Raiders heading to the final. Nothing's happened as of yet. I'm just going to take a look here. Actually, it looks like it actually started this weekend, but we have no scores. But yeah, games 2 and 3, or 1 and 2, sorry, went this weekend. We have no scores though. And then if needed, we have games on August 2nd and August 7th, 9th, 10th, and 11th if needed.
All right. And of course, in OJLL, we are heading into the finals. And Mimico is going to face Orangeville in what's going to be a heck of a series between two top-notch squads. Remember, Orangeville has got a chip on their shoulder from last year where they went undefeated until they faced Burlington in the finals and lost. And that cost them the Minto Cup berth, and that cost them probably the Minto Cup since Burlington went on to win the Minto Cup. But so that is going to begin this week. So things are heating up towards that. Remember, St. Catharines already has a berth in it since it is in St. Catharines. So we have one team. Stay with us. Soon we'll have the others. Ontario Series Lacrosse, they are heading into their final series now. Both were series sweeps, Brooklyn and Six Nations. And they will face each other starting next weekend, and away we go. This will be great. The games they had during the year were memorable, to say the least. So this is going to be a heck of a series, and we'll help everybody. And, of course, what's on the line is a berth in the President's Cup. So this is worth quite a bit. So. Also to go with Senior B is in the Can-Am League. The Tonawanda Braves, they wound up winning their series. They won their last game 14-11. And they will be facing the Allegheny team. So this is going to be huge. And, of course, the winner goes to the President's Cup. So Now, Shawn, you had we had a question last week about why in Saskatchewan things didn't go the way they were supposed to with the winner to go towards the Cup. You have an explanation for us. You did some digging for us.
Well, I did some digging. I don't know if I'm 100% right, so you might have to bear with me a little bit because I'm not 100% sure how roster rules work with the President's Cup. But from my understanding, so a little bit of background. The final in the Senior B for Saskatchewan was the Saskatoon Brewers against the standing Buffalo Fighting Sioux. And Saskatoon won that series, actually getting a bit of an upset considering who we have on the Fighting Sioux with a lot of former NLLers. So in the past, Saskatchewan has not sent a representative to the President's Cup, basically because they're not competitive, to put it nicely.
Right.
So what the Fighting Sioux are trying to do, and mainly I think it's through Jeff Shatler really, is they're holding tryouts so that basically they can put together a competitive team made of the best players that they can find for Senior B out of Saskatchewan so that they can have a representative go to the President's Cup and at least be competitive. That's what I got out of it, at least. So they're right. holding tryouts. They're holding tryouts to and putting together a team.
Now I remember Shatler with a few tweets and a few posts about all this stuff way back. That and of some of the games that went already out there, and and his reasoning behind why he's there doing this stuff, and it has all the fall in the same line as what you've just explained. So I think you're on the right track there as well, from everything that I've read on this as well. So so that's a pretty good explanation for it, to give us a chance. If you're going to go into the tournament, there's no point in being a punching bag. This is probably the best way. And I know that Senior B is pretty liberal and has been forever with rosters. So I don't think anywhere in concrete is it that you have to win some, this or that. But it seems odd. But anyways,
yeah. And I know where Shatler's trying to come from. Like he wants to showcase the best in Saskatchewan. Like he's done actually a really great job since he moved out here, really trying to grow the game out here. Not just with everything that the Rush has done, but just with him in general, and trying to grow the game at all levels. And I think that's what he wants to do, is really showcase the talent that is out here at the Senior B level.
Right. Makes sense. All right. So that takes care of all of that. That brings us over to, Senior A. And why don't we start out in the West? And, of course, they're heating up, just about heading into playoffs now. Lots of scenarios going on, and I'll let my Western guys take care of it. Shawn, you want to give us some of the scoop of the games that were, and then Mike, you can try and explain what the heck is going on with all this stuff, because I got a headache trying to figure it all out myself.
Well, I was going to say, I think actually Mike had the first game this week on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll take the first one. Yeah.
So, Mike.
No worries. So Burnaby and Maple Ridge played Tuesday night to start off week 10, and Burnaby had a 6-4 lead going into the third period, but Maple Ridge shut them out in the third period 4-zip to take an 8-6 win. Kind of a big blow to Burnaby's hopes. For the Lakers, Eric Forselius, pair of goals. Stu Phillips, goal and 2 assists. Ben McDonald, goal and 2 assists. Alex Bouquet, 46 saves in the loss. For Maple Ridge, Dylan McIntosh, 4 goals. 3 of those goals, I think, came in the third period. Marcus Klarich, a goal and an assist. Ryan Jones, a pair of assists. And Brandon Humphreys, 50 saves. The win, I believe, moved Maple Ridge to 7-8 on the year. So, and that's pretty much all I got for that.
Then I guess I can move on to Wednesday night. Gary's Victoria Shamrocks remain undefeated at 11-6 win over the Langley Thunder. It was 6-0 after the first period for Victoria. So it was it was kind of over right after that. There's just no stopping this Victoria team. Yeah, they're on pace, but honestly, the story of this game for Langley was Caleb Kahn, a 17-year-old call-up. He made 41 saves. I think he allowed. Just let me get the stats up here. He kind of stood in there for a couple of periods here. Stopped 41 to 46 shots for a 17-year-old call-up against the top team in the league.
Not bad.
Give him a little bit of credit there.
Yeah.
But I mean, for
Absolutely.
the Shamrocks, Clark Peterson, 2 goals, 3 assists. Casey Wilson, 3 goals, 2 assists. Jesse King, a pair of goals. You got it all down the lineup. Patrick Dodds, a goal. Matthew Gauthier, a goal. Derek Lloyd, a goal. Liam Phillips, a goal. As for the Thunder, honestly, not much to speak of. A couple goals from Clay Scanlon. He had a goal from Nathaniel Kuznikov, a goal from Robert Church, and a goal from Charles Scanlon, goal from Connor Robinson.
All right.
Then moving
onward.
to, where are we here? Thursday night. And yeah.
Well, we can't say what's wrong with Phillies on this one. What's wrong with the Admax on this one?
No, what's wrong with the Adnax?
Yeah.
And I believe this one, and Mike might want to correct me, I believe this win clinched the playoff spot for New West.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did clinch the playoff spot for New West. They moved to 8-8. And there's a few teams that can't catch them now. So
yeah. So final score 17-4. Including Adnax getting shut out in the third. Will Malcolm had a goal and 9 assists for 10 points. Logan Schuss, 4 goals. Hat trick for Tyson Gibson. Hat trick for Lucas Nielsen. I had a pair of goals from Adam Charlton Bees. A pair of goals from, actually, a name we haven't heard from a while, Anthony Malcolm. I was back in the lineup. And
I think that's his first game with the Salmon Bellies this year. So
yeah. And Justin Getty got the winning goal. Stopped 47 of 51 shots. Not much to talk about from the Adnax. It was just not a great night for them, and still in the hunt, but that did not help their playoff chances.
At least, yeah, not a good night to say the least.
No.
That brings us over to Friday night in the Berards and Timberman, and Timberman and Co. prevail.
Yeah, Timberman on life support when it comes to playoffs, but this one barely kept them in the mix at that point, at least. And Maple Ridge also trying to battle for that playoff spot. Can't really be taking losses. But Nanaimo took a 12-5 win. Put up some stats here. Tiger Clark, pair of goals and 4 assists for 6 points. Colton Lidstone, 2 goals, 3 assists. Had a bunch of guys with 5 points. Zach Mans, a goal and 4 assists. Jason Knox, a goal and 4 assists. You also had Lucas Olson with a pair of goals, and John Phelps with a pair of goals. Interesting enough, Devlin Shanahan got the start in this game. Someone who's really struggled this year. Stopped 46 of 50 shots in the win.
It's good to see. Maybe his stock is going to start rising again for the NLL because it took a real kicking near the mid to end of the season last year. So
yeah, and then he really didn't have a great start to the WLA season. You saw a lot of Colby Bowman who played well. So it was good to see him have a bounce back game with Shanahan.
Right. Now we head over to Saturday night, and we have the Adnax and the Lakers facing off with a real nail biter.
Yeah, and this was the Adnax final game of the season, actually, and they pretty much needed a win. It was kind of win and you have a chance, lose, and
You're definitely out.
you're definitely out. Yeah, because everyone else has a couple of games still in hand on them. So, but it came right down to the nitty gritty, and it wasn't until a minute 20, into the overtime period when Tyler Digby Tyler Kirkby scored the overtime winner to keep the Adnax alive. That was his hat trick goal. He had 5 points on the night. Ab Noakes had a goal and 3 assists. Andrew Glant, we've talked about before, he's had a fairly decent season for the Adnax. 43 of 52 shots for the Lakers. Jacob Dunbar continued to have a good season, a goal and 3 assists. You had a pair of goals from Ben Stewart, a pair of goals from Ben McDonald, and a pair of goals from Eric Forselius. And again, Burnaby still has a couple of games left, but again, they're right in the thick of that battle too. And they're kind of like Nanaimo. Their playoff hopes are kind of on life support at the moment.
Right. All righty. So that brings us into tonight's games, and we got a couple of partials still.
Yeah, we've got Victoria.
How are my Shamrocks doing, Mike?
Yeah, they're hosting Langley. They're up 9-6. Checking on the. Looks like 9-7. 9-7 now. Looks like it's the end of the second period. And then the other game that's ongoing is actually it's pretty much a win and you're still alive, lose and you're out. It's Nanaimo and Burnaby.
And they're tied.
Yeah.
They're tied now.
Yeah.
Put them both out.
Yeah, 3-3. Yeah, 3-3. Second period just got underway. It's about 2 minutes in. So, yes, and that is true. If both teams tie, they would both be out. They would both be mathematically eliminated. But if there's a winner and a loser, the loser is eliminated mathematically. So, from playoff contention.
Right. Well, all right. Let's have a look at our sheet
standings.
The standings. This is where Mike's going to need to help me out because there's a lot of stairs I can play out here.
Let me get that pulled up for you, Mike. Just so we all can see what's going on here.
Pull up the standings here. So while you do that, you're doing a spreadsheet.
I got the standings here for you. I'll get the spreadsheet in a second for you.
Okay. Okay, so you've got obviously Shamrocks.
So of course, the Shamrocks are 16. Oh,
yeah.
Yep, the number 1 seed. The Salmon Bellies are in the playoffs. Basically, at this point, Coquitlam having played all their games can't catch them. But Nanaimo and Burnaby also cannot catch them. So with their point total with their remaining games, so they're pretty much locked in. So now it's more or less 5 teams fighting for 2 spots. And it could be, again, if there's a tie tonight with Nanaimo and Burnaby, it'll be 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. So, and unfortunately for Coquitlam, they have to sit and wait. As far as their specific situation, they own head-to-head tiebreakers on Langley and Nanaimo, but they lose head-to-head tiebreakers against Burnaby and Maple Ridge. So,
all right, let me get the spreadsheet up to make it a little different.
Yeah, so basically, next need everyone else to lose out.
Kind of. There's basically, I've kind of whittled it down to 3 specific scenarios that if 2 of them happen, Coquitlam would be out. And the 3 scenarios are Burnaby wins their last 2 games, which is tonight at Nanaimo and then next week at against Langley. If Langley ties or wins, Coquitlam would not be able to catch them, obviously, since their season's already done. So Langley would pull ahead on points. And then if Maple Ridge ties or wins, they would also pull ahead of Coquitlam on points. So If two of those three happen, Coquitlam's out. But that's basically where we're at, and obviously the Nanaimo and Burnaby will be finished up, and if Burnaby wins that, then they'll have another series win.
Right. It's weird with New West though, eh? They've lost most of their series and they're still locked in.
Yeah. You know, that's you know, that's why I have concerns about them even going into the playoffs. It's okay, yeah, you're a 500 team. You know, you're the only other 500 team besides Victoria, but 6 of those 8 wins are sweeps of Burnaby and Coquitlam.
Yeah,
and you've struggled you have series losses everywhere else. So, you know, and obviously the remaining games are going to be a big deal as well for next week. After these 2 tonight, we're going to have Monday's going to be, well, really they're all going to be big ones. Monday, Maple Ridge hosts New West, and that's a game where, you know, a Maple Ridge win, you know, can put them in position to basically leapfrog into second place, because Maple Ridge will finish their season Tuesday night, also at home against Nanaimo, who might already be eliminated if they lose tonight or tie.
Right.
Wednesday, you've got Burnaby at Langley. And again, that's there's a couple of perspectives there. You know, obviously if Langley doesn't beat Victoria, they're not climbing anywhere in the standings. They'll remain in 3rd place, and people can leapfrog them. Especially Burnaby, if they win tonight and then win Wednesday, that would give them 15 points, and I believe they hold the tiebreaker on Langley. So that would be a big deal. And then the last game there on the right is the last game of the season, is New West's 3rd game against Victoria. They're hosting, but, you know, again, if they lose, they'll be in the playoffs, but, you know, it's entirely possible that every other playoff team after Victoria could be entering the playoffs with a sub 500 record.
Yep. I thought I read somewhere too, if Shamrocks go 18-0, this is the first time they'll have an undefeated team since, well, I believe it was the Shamrocks in 2001 where they were, I believe it was 17-0-1. So it's been a while since they've had an undefeated team.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, it's definitely going to heat up, and come next week, we'll have all the answers for you. But stick with us all week long, and we will kind of take out all the muck and mire and put some clarity, some glasses on it, shall we say. And
right.
We'll be
able no one wants to be that number 4 seed either.
No. You do not want to go up against Victoria in the first round.
Go against the Victoria juggernaut? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So by just making the playoffs, did you really win anything? No.
No.
Anyways, before we move on, just a reminder, this part of the show is brought to you by Philly.
If you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. If you want to travel with the pros, then go to phillysportstrips.com. Philly Sports Trips features premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans, ever, the Philadelphia sports fan. Philly Sports Trips has self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and even the Union. They even offer day trips for more local games. Go to phillysportstrips.com, sign up immediately, and tell them EOP sent you. Do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2024 season, including the Brazil trip week 1. Jump on it now before you lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com and don't miss the next great Philly sports moment.
Well, that was interesting. Gotta forgive me. My my internet's doing some weird stuff again tonight, guys. Around here, we just call it Sunday. But anyways, bringing us into Major Series Lacrosse, we are now into the semifinals, and we have the Six Nation Chiefs facing the Coburg Kodiaks, and we have the Peterborough Lakers facing the Brooklyn Lacrosse Club. Tonight was game one of this semifinals, and Six Nations took on Coburg. Now remember, Six Nation hasn't played in 2 weeks. You know, they had a bye in the first round, and well, Coburg had to beat Oakville, and of course everybody else had to play. But Six Nations, you would think maybe had a bit of rust on them, and I would say you would be wrong in that assessment because it took them all of about 3 minutes to get on the board. Eli McLaughlin from a Randy Stotts feed, followed by Cody Jamieson with a blast off a St. Jackson pass, and then Austin Stotts off an Eli McLaughlin pass, picked the corner beautifully from in close. This is all in the first 9 minutes, guys. It was 3-0. David Anderson, who's had just a spectacular year for Coburg, answered back for the Kodiaks, but then Stotts, Randy, then Austin answered back for Six Nations. David Anderson brought one more goal before the end of the first period, and at the end of one, it was 5-2 for Six Nations. Enter into the second, and Tyson Bell does Tyson Bell-esque things, and he went in all alone, unassisted, and well, he placed it in beautifully. Aaron Woods then got a power play goal for Coburg, followed by David Anderson with his third of the game. Austin Stotts answered back. Then Justin Martin again unassisted, another transition goal going in all alone. Aaron Wood scored his second of the game for Coburg, and then Cody Jamieson with a blast from the outside. And after 2 periods, it was 10-5. Third period was a little bit more succinct, a little more chippy as well. Dane Smith got it rolling for Six Nations. Brock Haley got one back for the Kodiaks. Smith again with his second of the night. Later on in the period, a couple of late goals. Eli McLaughlin shorthanded with a minute and a half to go. Nathan Grennan with a minute to go answered back. Your final is 13-7 for Six Nations. They don't look like they missed a beat. The NLL All-Star team looks just fine, folks. Over on Tuesday night, you will have the first game of Brooklyn and Peterborough in Brooklyn, well, in Whitby, actually, at the Iroquois Sports Park Arena. And that will be that. Wednesday night, you have Six Nations facing Coburg over in Port Hope, close to Coburg, at the Jack Berger Arena. Thursday night, you go into Memorial Center over in Peterborough, where Brooklyn will face Peterborough in Game 2. Remember, this is the best 4 to 7. On Friday night, Coburg will head over to Six Nations again. Saturday night will be in Brooklyn, and it'll be Peterborough over in Brooklyn for their second game of the series. Next Sunday night will be in Coburg again. Well, actually in Port Hope. The following Tuesday, you will have over in Six Nations. So they're adhering to what they normally do during the year for dates for games, which spreads this out quite a bit, but best to have availabilities, I imagine. And that takes care of Senior A right now. But our first game in the semifinals has happened. By the way, this is spaced out, though, guys. By the time the WLA playoffs hit, they might finish around the same time. That's how crazy this is. These guys will be fairly rusted, considering that they've been playing 3 games a week to get to this point, to fit only 12 games in like 6 weeks. And then now we have playoffs spaced out over the next 6 or 7 weeks, in which we have 2 rounds to play. Imagine how strange it would be if they both were swept 4 games. Don't see it happening. But, I see that Brooklyn Peterborough series being great. I see it being just being 6 or 7 games. It's going to be spectacular. This Coburg Six Nations game, I give Coburg a lot of credit. I think that they're better than what they played tonight. I expect them to at least grab one game out of this Six Nations team. But, again, Six Nations is undefeated this year. And it would be the only blemish I think they had on last year's record before the Mann Cup was one loss to Coburg in the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Big
Big Al is with us.
Hey.
Great.
That is what it is. Absolutely.
Hey,
Well, go ahead,
just
Mike.
a quick update. 9-7 Victoria, about 5 minutes gone in the third period. And I'll check on the other ones shortly.
All right. Now, just before we head into the PLL, just a reminder, this part of the show is brought to you by Dolan's.
When you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park, right off I-95 south of the Philadelphia airport. For over 65 years, Dolan's has thrived because of one reason: the amazing people of Philadelphia. Great music, great times, memorabilia, giveaways, great drinks, and great food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through that door. You go to Dolan's at 24 East Sellers Ave, Ridley Park in the 19078. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Yep. To me, dog.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey, now
I don't know,
he's probably got money on Burnaby and Nanaimo to tie tonight. So
Well, they put quite a bit of it on there, actually, and he used Bet365 while he's in it.
well, it won't be working out for him because the Lakers are up 5-3 on Nanaimo with about 6.5 minutes left in the second period. So
Why do you think he has no expression on his face sitting in the bar? Soon he'll be calling cherry injury. Don't you worry. Could be an inside the bar incident. It won't be in a vehicle. Anyways, let's mosey on over to the PLL, and of course we had some games over in San Diego today. Now, of course, with a couple of things in there. Sorry, Mike.
Mike's waiting for the pick'ems, I think.
Bring up those pick'ems.
this is the
Let's get
part where
that out of the
I
way.
exit the show.
Mike swung for the fences. Mike went all out. He put his
Looking
heart on
for
his sleeve,
upsets.
and he put his. He was looking for upsets for sure. Funny thing was, the one game he wasn't looking for the upset. Well, that was the upset. And that's where Shawn and I had our one loss, and Eduardo as well. Pat got that upset. Pat went 4-0. Way to go,
4-0, man.
So you're looking at the scores, and it's tightening up big time. I am still sitting in front at 17-11. Shawn is right on my heels there at 16-12. Pat is now right on his heels at 15-13. Eduardo at 14-14. Boy, oh boy, 1-1-1-1. And then Mike at 11-17, who was on all of our heels until he tried to swing for the fences. Mike, when you're singles doubles hitter, don't be doing the
swing for contact now.
We're here in Toronto doing that, and we're not going anywhere. Nowhere fast. Yeah, go Jays. You know where they're going? They're all going to the airport because they're being traded out of town right now. 4 of them have gone so far, and we're looking at probably a whole host others. The funny thing on this one, on a side note, is a former GM from this place, JP Ricciardi. He was on one of the Toronto talk shows going, yep, they really should blow it up. Now, I remember his days here as a GM, and those were the days when we really should have blown it up.
Yep.
So he knows a lot about blowing stuff up. But, I caught a really nice game the other day over at Rogers Centre. Roof was open. Beautiful Toronto evening in the summer, facing the CN Tower. It's great. They even won that game. So it was one of the 46 that they've won. Actually, the funny thing is, Texas is the defending World Series champions. I believe they swept them this weekend. They can't beat Oakland, but they sweep them to world champions. Every team in Toronto does this to me. But we did Shawn a favor. Our Argos did Shawn a favor.
Yeah, against the
The Saskatchewan
Winnipeg Blue
Flyers
Bombers.
are laughing because the Nobody Wants to Win This Game Bowl happened yesterday in Toronto, and Toronto came away with an overtime 16-14 win in Canadian Football League. It was,
we can't call them Winnipeg anymore. I got to take away the W. It's now Winnipeg.
Oh my! Oh my! Eduardo is with us, and he's been watching via YouTube. Even a oh my God! Even yeah, well, you know, he's on Facebook now. Eduardo was all over the place. If he's not traveling all over the country, he's traveling all over the internet. All righty, let's bring ourselves over to our first game, and that was California at home in San Diego at the beautiful Torero Stadium. I love that place. I really enjoyed it last summer when I was there. Gorgeous place, and really that whole San Diego State setup is spectacular. But they faced the Carolina. Sorry, that's the second game, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Boston and Denver. That was the slobber knocker to start it all off. And Boston comes away with a big win over Denver, 12-10.
Yeah, they sorry to find the 12-10, yeah, and the difference here, Denver had a 9-5 lead at the half and came out of the second half and got shut out 6-0.
Flatter than a pancake.
Yeah, and again, a game Denver really needed to kind of keep pace with Carolina and Utah out in the West and get some separation from California, who came into and struggling.
Now, of course, with that victory, Boston clinched the playoff spot. So they were the first one to clinch this year.
Yes, they're 6-2 now on the season, I believe.
That is right.
Yeah,
they've had a great second part of this season. Well, the last few games, they've really come into their own.
Big scorers for Denver. Brennan O'Neill, a 1-point goal, a 2-point goal, and 2 assists for 5 points. Cross Ferrara had a 1-point goal and a 2-point goal. Dalton Young, a goal and an assist. Ryan Terefenko, Graham Bundy Jr. each had a goal. Certainly like to see a little more out of Graham Bundy Jr. than just one goal. Eric Law, having a little renaissance. His old team scored a goal. But Luke Weirman, just 9 of 23 on faceoffs. So he struggled at the dot, out-dueled by Zach Tucci. For the Cannons, the usual suspects, he had Marcus Holman with a hat trick and an assist. Asher Knowlton had 2 goals and 2 assists. Matt Campbell, a goal, a 2-point goal, and an assist for 4 points. Connor Kirst had 2 goals. Colin Kirst had 12 saves in the win. So, and Denver just, again, a terrible second half, terrible second half, and
just for them apart.
Yeah, and just they go through these patches where, their offense just goes flat, and of course, there's already enough pressure on guys like Brennan O'Neill and Graham Bundy Jr. Being rookies and just wanting to make their mark, but they're kind of being expected to carry the heavy load for the Outlaws. And they're not doing it more often than they are doing it. So, it's going to be concern going into the final 3 weeks of the season. So especially with the result of the next game, that we're going to here.
Well, yeah, well, the Redwoods actually pulled one out, but they did everything they could in the end to try and lose it. That's the funny thing in all this. They looked great in the first half. They actually looked really good in the third, and then it just stopped. But halfway through the third, and it dried up. Luckily, they had enough on the board, and their defense and goaltending were good enough to hold off. But again, it makes me wonder about Carolina. You can't just rely on the goaltending of Blaze Reardon. You got to have some offense. And with guys like Josh Byrne in there, I expect a whole lot more than just 8 as your total output. With Shane Knobloch getting 4, 3 goals and one as a 2-pointer. Just doesn't make much sense to me. The big gun for California was Romar Dennis with 2 2-point bombs. Absolute just bombs. And that set the pace. TD Erlin was amazing. 14 of 18 on a faceoff, which was a huge kick in the keister for the Redwoods to get moving in there. Looking at some of the other stars there for the Redwoods, Ryder Garnsey, he had a goal and an assist. Kirst had a goal and an assist as well. Wes Berg had just an absolutely beautiful goal. Of course, the hometown favorite as a San Diego Seal. But again, Merle Connors and Rob Pennell finished off the scoring there, but there's just not enough. This was again, if this game goes on another 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I think that we're talking about how California had the victory in their grasp and then gave it away, because the trajectory that was happening in this game was here and then completely going down the toilet. This is, not the first time that this has happened to them this year. They just don't have staying power, and they've got too good a team not to be able to close out games. And this was a prime example.
Too good a coaching staff. Again, their offensive coordinator is John Grant Jr.
Well, yes, and when you're only putting out 10 goals and stopping it after about 5 minutes into the third, that has to get you scratching your head. Where did it go?
Yeah.
Where did it go? You have got top line. These are going to be Hall of Famers down the road. And what is going on with this team that they just can't click? And we'll talk more about it when we get to their second game of the day, which was the late game today. But before we head into that one, the Water Dogs and Atlas. And this is the same kind of idea as we were talking about with Denver. And, the Water Dogs look great in that first half. They're up 9-6, sailing. They are just doing all kinds of things that are making us all go, wow, where was this all year? Atlas got on the board first, Miles Jones, Connor Schellenberger up 2-0. Then a great goal by Sowers, something we don't say an awful lot this year. Trevor Baptiste from an assist from Jeff Teat. Now, remember, like Shawn said in the morning show, Atlas goes as Teat goes. If you control what Teat's doing, Atlas isn't going very far. Well, Teat's starting to do the assist thing. So, Atlas again comes out and it's 4-1 because Schellenberger got a goal. Here come the Water Dogs. Charlie Hayes with a goal. Trevor Baptiste again, 5-2 for New York. And then bang. Here's a 2-pointer from Jake Carraway. Jeff Teague gets a goal at 6-4. The second quarter was all Water Dog. All Water Dogs. Absolutely shut down Atlas altogether. Ryler Reese with a 2-point goal. Ethan Walker with a goal. Jack Hanna, who we don't hear much of this year for some reason. And Kieran McArdle, another star that we don't hear much of this season. And these are guys that need to perform at the utmost if this team is going to be successful. And the funny thing is, then we don't hear anything from anybody. As I commented to the guys during the game, it looks like at halftime, somebody took them away from San Diego State and took them up to Del Mar, up to the beach, and away they went. And they decided to have dinner up on the beach. Nice view, and kind of sit back and relax, and had a good day's work, because we didn't hear from the Water Dogs again until 31 seconds left in the game, when Ryland Reese hit a 2-point bomb. But in the meantime, the third quarter, Atlas woke up. Brian Kostiuk got a goal, and that's one we don't hear often again. Jake Stevens with just a beautiful thing off a Jeff Teat feed, and Logan McGovern. Now, interestingly enough, Atlas had 5 of their first-round picks from last year and this year on the field in this game. Don't feel sorry for Atlas. They have a lot of talent floating around there, and can flex their muscles at will. It's just whether they will to do it that much. Something about being up front, you have a tendency to sit back. Well, we saw that last week. So here, now they put it to the metal. Jeff Teat opened up the fourth quarter, made it 10-9. A goal by Xander Dixon made it 11-9. A goal again by Teat made it 12-9. And then, of course, the bomb by Reese narrowed it down to 12-11. Now, 31 seconds left. Atlas gets the draw. However, get careless. There is an opportunity for the Water Dogs, and they're careless with it as well. And off of the save in the Atlas zone, they're able to fire a shot about 40 miles into the air. By the time it lands, the clock is at 0. This game is done. Once again, in the Water Dogs' grasp. What's that now? 4 one-goal losses this year?
Yeah. I mean, they're 1-6. 4 of those losses are by 1 goal, and 5 of them are 1 possession losses, because their loss to Denver was a 2-point loss. So,
yeah.
Yes, this game has just been their season in a nutshell, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just can't finish. Like I said, yeah, like I said in the morning show, they just can't finish games.
They can't start them either. They're down 5-1 or so. Can you imagine if they had a good start to this game to go with the second quarter they had? They might have been up high enough that they wouldn't have to worry about the second half. But man, they put in 1 quarter's worth of work today. 1 quarter.
Yeah.
In a must-win game, 1 quarter. I've been tooting their horn, saying that they're going to come out of this funk, and they just need 1 quarter work today in a must-win game. That's not good enough. There just something needs to be done. Something needs to be shooken up, and this is a championship team, and really not a lot of changes. Something's up. Something happened, because they're just not performing. And it's not a one-off. And Mike, in your terms, really,
I mean, I'm chuckling because I was going to say, not for nothing, but this is almost kind of mirroring the Colorado Mammoths last 3 years, where 2022 win the championship, 2023 get to the championship, lose. I won't say narrowly, because that game 3 was abysmal.
Not narrow.
But then this year they drop all the way to last place. So Water Dogs are kind of right now following that same trajectory. Having won in 22, a shot away from winning in 23, and now they're sitting at 1-6, and now they're 2 games out of the playoff spot. So
it's a head scratcher, though. You really, can you really put your finger on what's wrong with this team other than underperforming? Actually, unperforming is probably a better term than underperforming. Yeah. They're not performing.
Yeah,
you only play 12 minutes out of 48. You're not performing.
You're not, and you certainly can't close out games like Shawn said.
Yeah.
If you're doing that. So
if you're up 9-6 at the half, you should be shutting the door.
And you can't blame defense or goaltending. They only gave up 12 goals to a juggernaut like Atlas. You can't fault the goaltending on that. He put in a good day's work. Where is the offense?
Yeah.
Michael Sowers got their first goal, then we didn't hear from him again. That's your star, isn't he? Isn't that your local boy star?
Yeah.
Just put it out there as I don't want to sound like I'm ganging up on anybody, but it just, to me, enough's enough.
Well, I was just looking at the stats here. For the Water Dogs, your top scorer was Rylan Reese, a long stick
And that was
midi.
a 2-point bomb at 31 seconds left.
Yeah, and he's a long stick midi. Like your long stickers.
Yeah, and I think he had 2-2-point goals in the game, didn't he?
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
he did. Yep, he had 4 points.
So,
But isn't that a little bit of a head scratcher when your long pole is your leading scorer?
yeah.
But again, you say Michael Sowers, 1 point. Kerry McCardle, 1 point. Both goals, but 1 point.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
Very-
it can't be. If you're going to win,
Yeah.
this isn't going to happen. Just
Like
saying.
we said all along, the talent's there.
It is.
Talent's there.
It is, and it should be doing a whole lot more. And we've, week in and week out, we've all been talking about how they're going to get out of this funk because they're only losing by a goal here and a goal there, and they just one bounce here and they do this. Just don't see it. Yeah, well, of course. Oh well. Moving onward, we had one more game of the day, and California got to play again, and they were going to see if they could actually build upon their one-game winning streak. And they're facing Maryland, who's going to be the home squad next week when it goes off to Baltimore. And well, it looked good for a while, didn't it, Mike?
It did. It did.
And then the second half hit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they much like the Water Dogs, they came out flat in the second quarter. Never mind the second half. Had a 5-4 lead after one. They get outscored 6-0 in the second quarter. Maryland takes a 10-5 lead into halftime, and then kind of go blow for blow over the second half, but can't really make up any ground. Maryland ends up winning 18-13, and that's bad news for the Water Dogs, who now are 2 games behind Maryland. And they play each other next week. So, there was some hope there, at least if the Water Dogs had lost, that, if Redwoods could finish off Maryland, that, they'd still be a game behind, and, they could beat them next week, get tied with them, get ahead on goal differential, all that kind of going out the window. And with only a few games left, gets more dire now. But for the Whip Snakes, Tucker Dordovic, what a game. 7 points, 1 goal, 1 1-point goal, and 3 2-point goals in the game. Zed Williams had a hat trick and an assist. TJ Malone, a goal and 3 assists. Joe Nardella, 15 of 30 at the faceoff dot, but he had 2 goals in the win. Brendan Krebs making 12 saves. For Redwoods, Rob Pennell, a goal and 3 assists. The goal he scored in the second half was a 600th. It's 317 career goals, but it was a 600th point of his career. Yep. He's just the third player.
4th all time on the career goals list, too.
Yeah, and he's 3rd all time on the points list now. Only the 3rd player to reach 600 points in history. Cole Kirst had a hat trick for Redwoods. Garnsey had a pair of goals and an assist. Chris Gray had a pair of goals. Chris Fake and Romar Dennis each had a 2-point goal, and Jack Kelly made 17 saves in the losing effort.
Well, it was a good weekend for for us here at the Atlas. Oh, look, hey, got the Shamrocks behind me.
Yeah,
Got
Sherry
the
and Atlas.
I've had some rough ones, but boy, oh boy, this when it goes good, it goes good. Let's have a look at the standings, guys. And here we are. We got the Atlas and the Cannons tied, and of course, we know that they're both clinched.
Both have
playoff
clinched.
spot. I had the graphic for that one too, but there you go. Atlas is clinched. Then you have Maryland down in 3 and 4, and the Water Dogs in the bottom at 1 and 6. Interestingly enough, though, the goal differentials in the Eastern Division -4 and -6. So not very much in the way of losing differential, but a loss is a loss. And a loss is a loss when you have two guys that are already clinched. So these two are going to be pounding it out, but Maryland has a good home series, and that's done. That's finished.
Yeah, well, that home series is obviously next week, but the first of those two games is against Philly. So
that's pretty much
so this is pretty much it. Next weekend is pretty much it for Philly. They have to win, or they can probably kiss playoffs goodbye. Actually,
I'm pretty
kiss,
sure they're on life
can kiss
support
playoffs goodbye, but yeah, because they'll be 1 and 7, and Maryland will be 4 and 4, so they won't be able to catch them at that point.
Right. Yeah. Looking at the West, Utah, of course, is up ahead 4 and 2. They had the weekend off. Carolina 3 and 4. Denver 3 and 3. They still have their weekend, so they still have to do their big thing. And California is still in the running with that win at 2 and 5, especially with Denver losing. So that's still a tight race. Now the goal differentials in this division a little bit more apparent. -19 for California, -12 for Denver. Carolina a little better with -4. That's the Blaze Reardon effect. But I tell you, Utah will be. I believe they will clinch with next week with the right formula. If I'm right.
They win, yeah, and sure enough, next week Outlaws Redwoods. So.
Yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
There's two big games that we need to watch next weekend, and
Chaos Archers. So
yeah,
so right there,
it's not as dire. It's going to be a good game, and for where things are going, but it's not quite as dire. That'd be good for positioning of who's going to be in first. But to make the playoffs, that's the game. To watch Denver, California, Maryland, Philadelphia, to whether that's the final knife. Those are the big ones. Yeah. But they're all, again, whoever put the schedule together, sheer fluke. But it's put some great scenarios down the stretch.
Up. Yeah, they're certainly lining up. So,
all right. Before we finish up, just a reminder: this part of the show is brought to you by Cherry Injury.
If you get hurt at work, in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Cherry Law Firm is here to fight for you and get what you deserve. Cherry Injury Law is a dedicated, well-established personal injury law firm built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of Pennsylvania. If you have been seriously injured in the state of PA by the negligence of another, and if you have questions for a Westchester or media personal injury attorney, please don't hesitate to call. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. And again, that number is 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com.
Absolutely. Eduardo has a point here. If the league expands, they definitely need to add Canadian cities. I can't even get them to add Canadian dates. So I don't think a Canadian city is in a running for that one. But as for this, Utah with a win, they will rest up for the rest of the season for playoffs. Well, that would mean the chaos. That would mean that the Cannons and Atlas won't be playing anybody either for the next few weeks. But I don't see that happening. But I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Just a reminder to everybody that we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Thread, we are on YouTube. Please check us out. Please subscribe if you're over to YouTube or into Instagram or even Twitter. And we'll keep you up to date with everything that is happening. And there is lots happening, as you saw at the top. We will be keeping our eyes and ears to the ground as much as possible to get as much information as we can, as quickly as we can for you on all the stuff that's going on with the NLL at the moment, with anything that is developing or has developed. Stick with us 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. The news is always changing. Lots of signings happening now. With the summer ball, with playoffs going on, we have everybody covering everything for you. So stick around. Again, as I like to say, we are your Costco of lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop for everything to do with lacrosse, whether you're into summer ball, whether you're into PLL, whether you're into sixes, whether you're into Olympics. We have everything for you as it happens when it comes out. All the news, all the reviews. And if we don't know it, as we've shown, we will dig for the answers for you. So please stick with us. It is our privilege to bring this to you every week, and it is our privilege to bring you the information as it happens and cover all these games that we can for you. Brings us over to last words. Mike, I want to start with you this week. Lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, my last words are going to be an update here. The Shamrocks have moved to 17-0. They beat Langley 10-8. And Nanaimo is currently leading Burnaby 9-6 with about 15 minutes to play.
Alrighty.
So, and the loser of that game is pretty much going to be mathematically eliminated from playoff contention.
Right. Shawn, some last words from you.
Yeah, same as everyone else there. It's going to be interesting to see how the WLA playoffs shape out here. And after the news, the last 24 hours with what Adam Levi tweeted, plus Christian Del Bianco, things are going to be interesting in the next few days.
Yeah, for sure.
Going to be hopping in my car and covering an awful lot of MSL and OSL over the next week. And, it's going to be heating up lots. We got finals in one, semifinals in the other. East and west, going back and forth is going to be a lot of fun. But also the NLL and all the predicaments and all the speculations. Let's let some of this settle before we are busy running teams out of towns yet, because who knows? I know that the NLL will be working behind the scenes to smooth everything out. Hopefully we have more clarification on when the free agent signings will be able to take place. In the meantime, teams will keep signing their players as best they can and seeing where they're going. But I want to thank everybody, as I do every week, for sticking with us. We appreciate all your patronage week in and week out, day in and day out. And love talking with y'all. And if you have anything, please message us, email us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and I wish you the best of weeks. Remember, keep your stick in your hands. Until next week, Sunday night at 9 o'clock for our next version. Have a great week, and we'll see you then.